Welcome back, preschool peeps. Whether you are watching on YouTube or listening on your podcast app, we're glad that you're with us. Say hi, Allison.
Hi. Hope you're well.
Yeah, and staying safe. We mentioned on our last episode that we're doing more episodes than usual. We have been screening all of the information that we're getting and requests we're getting from people. As we said last time, rest assured, we have a list of what's being sent to us to discuss, and we're going to work our way through that list. So today on the podcast, the topic that we have on the top of the list is, how can we phrase this, Allison? We're sending stuff to families, but we don't think they're doing it. That should be the title.
That should be the title. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. And I think that's very true.
Yeah. As Allison is somebody who's sending things directly to families.
Yeah.
You know, I think that we need to provide maybe a little perspective and consider the long-term outcome of our interactions with families right now. And that's basically the discussion that we're going to have. Like, what are right-sized expectations for families? Families are being asked to do things now, not only that they haven't done before, but they're being asked to do it simultaneously. So they're being asked to be, some people who are still working are being asked to be at-home workers while they're being a parent, while they're being a teacher, while they're being, what else, Allison?
And some of them, a teacher of multiple children in multiple grades. So not just like one. You're now a first grade teacher, a third grade teacher, a pre-K teacher, a high school teacher, on top of doing your job at home and taking care of your house.
So you are you are a parent. You are perhaps now a remote worker. You are a fifth grade teacher, a third grade teacher, a pre-K teacher. You are
some people,
the person for everyone,
Some people have babies in my class, so they have. I have one student that has 5 siblings. 2 in pre-K, 1 in first grade, and 2 babies at home. So, needless to say, mom was like, "Hey, I can't be in 5 places at once." And
I'm right, and I'm fairly certain that families who are struggling now with layoffs and unemployment, so they are running all these roles, plus they're trying to navigate the legislation that's coming out, what they're entitled to, the applying for perhaps unemployment insurance, figuring out what they're going to do now as far as bills, contacting maybe people they have loans with or pay mortgages to or whatever. Like, people are busy trying to navigate their lives. So as I said in the opening, what are the right-sized expectations here? And I'm just going to propose, Allison, that the right-sized expectations are basically have no expectations.
Have no expectations. I told my parents when this whole thing started, I was like, I will provide you with activities that you can do every day. If you get to it, great. If you don't, that's okay. I said, my main goal is to keep my relationship with the children that are in my class and their relationship to each other. So I wanted to keep the connection. So I said, if you can do nothing else during the day, hop on to that live meet with your teacher just to say, hi, I'm here. You could see your friends, and then that's it. You get to the activities I sent home that day, awesome. But I'm not faulting you if you don't do them. I totally understand. You have multiple children at home. You have your work to do. You have to just take care of yourself and make sure you're not getting sick and your family's not getting sick. You might have financial issues that you're going through. Get done what you want to get done. It's there if you want to use it. But if you don't get to it, that's okay too.
I also think I've heard a lot from teachers about how they're trying to conduct these large group meetings using software that has all the children seeing each other on the screen, and that the children are so excited to see each other. And the response from teachers seems to be, so the rest of that sentence is, the children are so excited to see each other, so I put them all on mute. And I wonder if that's not the right thing to do. Perhaps we should put our own agenda aside or offer multiple meetings per day so that they sort of get used to seeing each other.
Yeah.
But I'm wondering if putting them on mute isn't the answer. It's the connection. They're connecting with their classmates.
Yeah, I was very, very unpopular when we were still in school. And we were discussing, how are we going to do this? We had a couple meetings the week before we closed about how we're going to do this. And I was very unpopular amongst my team members because they were all like, yeah, I'm just going to put them on mute and I'm just going to talk. I'm like, yeah, I'm not doing that. Because not only did they recommend putting them on mute, but they recommended them having their camera off so they can't see each other.
Oh, no.
And I said, I'm not doing that. Okay. So they were like, oh, you're just going to have chaos in your meeting. Like, good. I'd rather it be chaotic.
Because you know what an early childhood classroom is?
Yeah. Talking.
It's like organized chaos.
It's organized chaos. They're going to constantly be talking. And I will say the conversations I've had online with these kids, like they want to show you stuff at their house. They're like, look at this. I got this for Christmas. This is great. Like that's all. My whole meeting this morning was 15 minutes of like just talking. And I emailed the parents the night before. I'm like, we're going to get on at 8:45. We're going to talk for 15 minutes and check in. And then I'll let you guys go. And like, that's it. Like, I just want to talk. And they did. They like, one boy was piling on every single stuffed animal. His whole couch was like lined with stuffed animals. He's like, Miss Allison, look at all this stuff. I'm like, that's great. You know, because you don't get to see their house when they come to you in real life. So like, now they're like, Miss Allison, see, there's my dog. This is the dog I've been talking about for like decades. I'm like, yeah, I know. Here's my dog. You know what I mean? Like, look, like, so it's like, they just want to talk. They want to talk to each other. Like there was one boy today, he was like yelling. He's like, how come she can't hear me? I'm like, she's got, she can't hear you because everybody else is talking. Like, she'll answer you once it gets quieter. And she did, but the whole time he's like yelling her name and he kept getting louder and louder and louder, thinking like, that's going to get her to hear me. Like if you were on the playground at school. And I'm like, no, you don't have to be louder. It just has to, the noise has to settle and then she'll hear you.
Yeah, I think let them do it. You know what? The software, when I see people are posting now pictures of their screens with all the children in their little blocks, like the Brady Bunch used to be, all the children in their little blocks, like looking around and laughing and waving to it. It's the cutest thing ever really with the preschool. And really I think we have to remember, as we're dealing with families, they definitely have different priorities perhaps than my preschool paperwork. And we have to respect that, because if we don't, then we are not building relationship with them.
Right.
We don't want parents to feel like they're failing all the time. They're not failing all the time. They're doing the best they can in an impossible situation.
Yeah.
And I think more important than do this activity with your kids is do whatever you can. And here's some things you can do in the course of your day. And if you never ever get to it, we understand. We have empathy. We understand. It's just, I think the expectations sometimes that we have are out of line. And I had a conversation with Alison yesterday on text that I kind of want to repeat, Alison.
Yeah.
We were talking about how while families are saying, this isn't my priority right now. I can't concentrate on this right now. There's this, and this happening in my family, and I just can't do it. That some schools, not all, but some schools are trying to exert more control and saying, well, you need to do this, and this so that we can mark you as attended, or we need to do this. You have to do this, and this. And I said to Alison, here's what I wonder, and you all can just ponder this, just knowing human nature. We all feel like we have no control, and it's true. We all are sitting in our homes, or if you're an essential worker in our place of work, and we have no control over the decisions being made over our lives. Are we taking that need for control and now trying to impose it on these children and families so that we feel like, look, I have control over this? And I'm just going to submit that is, people need to self-reflect on, and organizations and schools need to self-reflect on why they think this work is a priority over the kindness and consideration and relationships that children need right now in order to help them deal with the emotions they're having.
Yeah.
I mean, are we setting families up to be fighting with their kids? I don't think that's good.
Well, yeah, I don't think that's good. And I told my parents, a couple of them that were really struggling, because the first couple of days I got emails of like, I don't think I can do this.
Yeah.
And at the same time, I was thinking like, I don't think I can do this either. You know, like, but you're trying to like calm each other down. I actually told them, I'm like, they're 3 and 4 years old. You know what you should let them do? If you really can't get to anything that I listed today, and that's fine, let them play. Let them play. Even if you cannot play with them, let them play with their sibling. Let them play alone. They will be learning if you let them play.
Yes. For how long in early childhood has early childhood been saying children learn best through play? And now we're saying stop playing.
Stop playing. Do all these activities. Yeah.
And yeah, the activities may be fun, but we're saying stop playing.
Yeah.
There's no time for play. And that's so wrong. If we can get the message to the families that while your children are playing, they're intrinsically learning, and you can just have conversations with them that add to the learning while they're playing as an aside while your other children are doing some work or while you're preparing a meal or something, then you have educated your child. That's good.
Yeah.
I shared with my email list and with my Facebook peeps, I don't know what they call followers, likes, whatever.
Yeah.
I never know this when we podcast.
Just call them peeps. They're all peeps.
The peeps. Well, I shared with the peeps like a sort of a handout brochure that I had put together a long time ago for families about what children learn as they play.
Oh, I sent that to my entire class.
Did you?
I sent that. Yeah, I emailed it to them. When I was talking about like, if you have no doubt in your mind that you're doing the right thing, just let them play. And I said, like, here's something that my friend Cindy wrote that's an expert in early childhood education. And some parents are like, oh, thank you, Alison, for that. Yeah.
What I'm going to do, Alison and I are I have to look into it. I told Alison my life now has been one Zoom meeting after another. But what I'm going to do when I'm not doing that or teaching classes on Zoom and all the things that I'm doing on technology is I'm going to look into posting. I'm making a note on my page full of random notes.
I have one of those too over here.
Posting the brochure and links from Alison on our podcast website. The podcast website is howpreschoolteachersdoit.com. The stuff, it may not be there right now, but let's say I give myself a deadline of posting these. She's laughing. I'm going to post these things over the weekend.
I think the weekend's a good one because I want to add to that list I sent you.
Okay.
So everybody. So we're saying the weekend.
This is originally broadcasting around March 26th. So the weekend following March 26th, if you would like to check our website, howpreschoolteachersdoit.com, we're going to have some resources there that you can provide to families that might help them to not only find other things to do for their kids, both online and in person, but also to help them understand that while their children play, it's okay, they're learning. Just kind of, you're going to talk to your kids while they play anyway, even if it's just, hey, what you doing? So at least we can help steer their conversations maybe a little bit. But if the children just play, the children in the early childhood ages are fine. It's actually the larger systems. They're going to have to figure out what they do with this lost school time. Mm-hmm. Do we just say, well, I don't know, when we go back to school, we have to start the next school year knowing the children entering their next grade or their next age level may not have the skills that children have had in the past. We're going to have to pick up from where they are at that point and move forward. Right. I think that's for early learners in particular. I think it's very logical to say, for example, those children entering pre-K or those children entering kindergarten are not necessarily going to have the same foundation of skills in September, even if we get somehow back to school before then. They're not going to have the same level of school. So everybody has to adjust down, which frankly would be wonderful to stay with because we've had unrealistic expectations across the board. So everybody just adjust down. We're all going to move on from there. Children have an amazing capacity to catch up and to regain things. You know, I know it's very tough in the special needs community. I work with schools who provide special needs services. And I know that there's a great concern for special needs, an IEP goal development to be shifting back. Folks, it is what it is. We're going to do the best that we can. And then we're going to, again, there's nothing else literally nothing else we can do.
Nothing we can do. And it's sad, but there really is nothing else we can do. We're just doing our best here as best we can in a situation that we're not prepared for and we've never experienced before. So your best is all you can do.
Yeah, I think, and that's true of the families. We have to respect that. When a family says, I can't do it, folks, that's their best.
That's their best.
It's their best. They can't do it.
Yeah.
And if we can just help families to feel like they again aren't failing their kids, but to understand that I think the most important thing they can do for their children is allow them to have time where they're being creative, because then we'll see what the children are thinking.
Yeah.
We talked in another episode about how children are starting to play coronavirus. Yeah. They're expressing themselves that way. We need to give them the time and the ability to be creative to do that. And hopefully we are responding to their social emotional needs as a priority.
Yeah.
Trauma is not good for kids. And now every child has been through trauma. Mm-hmm. They say that trauma has a long-term impact on children. If they experience more than one adverse childhood experience, it starts to have a long-term impact. So now we're starting with a baseline of everybody's had one.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
They need us to help them manage the stress. The children may be playing and the children may be giggling and so happy to see each other online, but they are very stressed out because they're out of their normal routine and they don't understand why.
They don't understand why. I think we've talked about this on the podcast last time, is that like, I understand why we have to do it. Cindy understands. We as adults understand. I know, but we kind of get it. We're like, I get it. I need to, isolate because I don't want to get others sick and I don't want to get myself sick. We can kind of process that and be like, okay, yeah, it stinks, but I'll do it. A lot of kids, like even now, this is my second week going online with my kids at school, and every day one of them's like, I don't understand why we're here. Like, why can't I come to school? Why isn't the bus coming? Like every day. And sometimes it's a different kid every day, but like, they're starting to be like, why do I see you here and not at school? And they don't understand why we're doing it. Even when I explain it, like, we're doing this so that we don't get sick. We're doing this so that we don't make others sick. They still like, yeah, like, why? Shouldn't we? One boy's like, shouldn't we always be doing that? Like, even when we're at school?
Yes. Like, yes. Okay, that's a whole other episode. So they don't understand. Other episode is, you see all this hand washing and cleaning? Keep doing it when this is over. But
what I think he meant was like, but I've been at school before when I've had a cold. So why is this different? Do you know what I mean? I don't think they understand, like, yeah, people get sick at school all the time and we still have school. Now we can't. Like that's what, because they're 3, they don't get it. Understand that this is a different kind of illness. They just think like, oh, people are sick.
Their behavior is going to shift, their behavior is going to shift because of this. The families are dealing with that too. I really feel like if your school system or your, whatever organization you're with or whatever, I think if you feel like the expectations are unrealistic, people have to start standing up and saying that, both from the families and the staff members who are talking to and interacting with the families. I think we need to be going back and saying all these expectations are not realistic. Yes, I do believe it's our obligation to provide families with potential activities they can do with their kids. I think it's our obligation to reach out and say, I'll be on the internet or I'll be on your class app or whatever you're using. I'll be on there and you can join me or not. But I think there's a difference between I have an obligation to provide it and I expect you to do it. Right. Those are two different things. I have an obligation to provide it and whatever you can do is cool.
Right. I think when it comes to at least bigger school systems like districts, things in that way will only change if the parents start saying, I can't do this. Like if the parents, because as a teacher, I'm not going to necessarily be the one to stand up, because then they'll be like, oh, when we have layoffs, Alison, by the way, bye. So if the parents start saying, listen, this is too much. Like, I can't do that. You're expecting too much. Then things will change, because as a teacher, even though I do think it might be too much sometimes, I'm not going to say that because I want to keep my job, especially now when there might be layoffs. So I'm just like, okay. And then I just kind of modify it for my little class. But like once parents start saying, this is too much, like I got to go to work, I got to do this, I have 5 kids, I got this, whatever the reason is, even if it's just like, it's just too much, you know, like, then like, cause what I would like to see is like, almost like social emotional stuff going home. Like, you know what I mean? Those lessons going home instead of like, you have to do this math, science, all the way down. Like, no, here's something you can do with your kids to help them cope with this. Here's the lessons you should do.
Well, hopefully that's also going home. I hope that's also going home.
Like I send stuff like that home. I don't know if everybody else is doing that in their class because I have really no idea what the other.
I also wonder how much families are looking at of this stuff that's being sent home. Like I could imagine that if I had all these things vying for my attention, these packets might be sitting on my desk somewhere and not really have read that information.
Yeah.
And I hope people are putting it out in the world other ways. I know you and I are trying, and I hope a lot of other people who are expert in other things are also trying. You know, the therapists and all that community and the social workers, hopefully they're putting out information that families can access in different ways, because I just think all the papers, I can picture all the paper piling up.
Piling up. But for me, like, it's a lot of like, I send home emails every night and be like, here's the things that, you know, the activities you can do. And I try to do like at least a daily theme, but it doesn't always work out. And then pick and choose what you want. I don't know if some parents I know read them because they'll at least email me back saying thank you. And others, I have no idea. You know, they might not. They might be like, whatever. Like, and I'm okay with you not doing it. As a teacher, I'm okay with you not doing it. If all you could do is hop on the meet in the morning and say hi, that's great. Like, that's fine with me. You know, like, I don't expect you to drop everything else that's going on in your household right now to do these 5 activities that I'm sending home.
It would be different if everyone wasn't under so much stress and strain. But when we, you know, honestly, I've been sheltering in place pretty much, except for minor trips out for necessities for more than a week now, right? How many? All the days
are more than a week. It's been
maybe about 10 days or so, and I'm just starting to feel like my stomach isn't churning. I'm just starting to feel like settling in.
Me too. Okay. So we're on the same track because I'm telling you, last week, as Cindy knows, because I would text her constantly, my anxiety was so high last week. Oh my gosh. Like over everything. It was my first week online teaching. It was going horribly. I thought I was like, I don't think I could do this, on top of like, oh my God, now there's like this many cases and this is closing. And now you're telling me I can't go out. I was like, seriously, every little thing. I'm like, Cindy. And I was texting other friends too. I was like, I don't know what to do. Like, I don't know when to panic. And now I'm like, I'm a little bit better. Like, I'm like, okay. I think I'm in the accepting phase where I'm like, okay, if this is what I need to do, then I will do it. And if online teaching is what I'm going to be doing for a little while, let me try to embrace it. If I can only go out to go to the grocery store, then okay, let me do that. Like, I still walk my dog, but even when I walk, I'm like, nope, I still keep my distance. But like,
there was a great article. I read a great article online about how what we're going through right now emotionally as adults are the stages of grief.
Oh, I read that.
We were in denial, right?
Yeah.
We were in denial. We were like, we went through the whole thing, and we may be reaching the point of acceptance now, some of us, where you just have to adjust your life, and things have changed, and they've probably changed forever. So it was talking about the stages of grief, and that's what individuals and the country are going through. And I think that it's also what children are going through, only they don't have a way to express it.
Right.
I kind of hearken back to, if we're going to talk about stages of grief, I kind of hearken back to when my father died. And this was years ago. My father died in 2001. My children were very young then. And their processing of the grief of their grandfather dying was very different than an adult's processing. They knew things were up. They went through periods of being very off in their behavior or being very clingy. But they still had moments where they played and giggled and had fun. because I think it's not so different now, where children also, just like we are grieving the changes, children are grieving the changes, and we have to just help them express it as the biggest gift I can give them, way more than this is the letter A. They'll get this is the letter A. They'll get it. It'll come. But the ability to sit with children and say, so how about this not going to school? How's that feel? Or to watch how they're playing to see how they're feeling is so much more important. And I wish that larger systems would embrace that and say to teachers, just connect with their families to see how you can support them dealing with their children's emotions and the lack of socialization, frankly.
What I really want to do, but I don't know if anybody would sign on for it, I would love to have a parent meeting on this Zoom or on the Meet or whatever. No kids, like, tell me when your kids go to bed and we'll all meet here just so we can talk, right?
Great idea.
Because I don't know if, I think that would be a good way to be like, this is how you can talk to them about this. You know, these are the things you can do at home to help them, you know, but you can't, usually when I'm online with the kids, it's just the kids or the parents, sometimes like over here, but to just all see like the parents have like a parent meeting at night when the kids aren't around.
And also to acknowledge, I'm writing as you're talking.
Yeah.
Also to acknowledge they're doing their best.
Yes. Yes.
That's awesome, Alison.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm almost done writing.
Okay.
Everybody can see me. This is what I like about this sort of software is when I'm teaching like a child development class, I can see when I've said something and they're all taking notes. And
I know. That's the one thing about doing this podcast now on video is kind of nice, is that like there are times like if I'm looking over here like this, it's because I'm writing something down that Cindy said. And if I'm looking over here like this, it's because Rusty's over here.
Yeah.
You know, but like now at least like when it was just a recording and I stopped mid-sentence because Rusty was like right here in my face, you had no idea. I'd be like, wow, that woman doesn't know what she's talking about. Like she just stops mid-sentence. But then on the video, you could be like, oh, it's because Rusty's right there, or she's like thinking and writing something down. Not that everybody, you know, not everybody's on the video on the YouTube right now, but still, like it makes me feel a little bit better. I feel like it's more conversation-like, even though
I don't know.
I
think Alison and I, much like the rest of the world is learning how to do things differently, I think we've learned how to do this podcast a little differently out of desperation.
I know.
I think what we're going to do now is be done with this episode, and we want to make sure to reiterate that families need to know we respect the fact that they're struggling, and so we have to be careful how hard we push. We should have really no expectations. They're so stressed out.
Yeah.
And juggling multiple roles. It is our job to offer, and it is our job to say, try this. It's not my job to expect every single family to respond. The feedback that I'm getting is that you have groups of families who are so responsive to the remote learning and distance learning for early learners, and there are some who are just knee deep in other things. So be it.
Yep.
You know, so be it. It's kind of like, I don't think it's all that different from when we offer in-person conferences and some parents sign up and some don't. It's their priorities. You know, it's no different than I'm conducting a class and some children are paying attention and some are not.
Right.
You know, it is what it is. We can't, there's nothing more. There's more you can do if you've offered the families nothing. But if you're offering the families and the children something, then you've done all you can do. Try to maintain those fun connections, and I think stop muting the children.
Don't mute the children. I could just tell you from experience, it's like so awesome to hear their little voices, like, because it's depressing a little bit as a teacher because you can't see them every day. So like sometimes when I get on there and they just like, you hear their voices, it makes me so much happier. Sometimes I'll close it and be like, I miss them. You know what I mean? But like if I couldn't hear them, I'd be like really like even more lonely. Like I'm, you know, like even like, but like it gives me joy for them to be like, and then when they come on, they're like, Miss Alison. You know, like if all I saw was that, I'd be like,
jazz hands, jazz hands.
But when
that's how we're all going to greet each other now in person too.
It makes you happier just to hear them being their 3-year-old little selves or their 5-year-old little selves or whatever age you teach, you know, like, or like, how would you feel if you were in a class and the teacher just kept constantly muting you? you know, as an
They
adult. Where you're just
tried.
like, oh,
When I was a kid, they
mute.
tried.
Yeah,
It
just
didn't
gonna
work.
mute her. You
They
know, like,
tried
how
to
would you
mute me.
feel?
I got in trouble for talking all the time, and look at me today.
I know.
Let the kids talk. All right, so we hope to either see you on YouTube or have you listen on the podcast. If you haven't already, subscribe wherever you have found us. Comment, post, contact us. Keep sending the ideas. Allison, the list keeper, is keeping the list. And we will catch you next time. We are, by the way, going to try and do fairly steady through this crisis. We're going to try to have an episode for every Monday and likely Thursday or Friday every week.
Yeah.
If news breaks in between, we'll decide, but figure on a couple of times a week. Catch you next time, peeps.